I think I knew I was in trouble the day Eli kissed me on the cheek in front of half the college. Not the we're just best friends kind of kiss. Not the quick, playful kind he gives when he's tipsy or teasing. No, this one was slow, like he forgot we weren't alone. Like maybe, just maybe, it wasn't a joke anymore. But before that, my name is Minjae, second-year media student, top 10% in my year. I am one of those people who color codes their notes but never shows them to anyone. I prefer my headphones loud, my ramen spicy, and my emotions carefully folded like laundry. I keep things to myself. Quiet corners, half-truths. Decisions I haven't told anyone, like the full scholarship offer sitting quietly in my inbox, ready to whisk me off to Australia next semester. Eli is none of those things. Eli is sunshine in human form. Chaotic, loud, impossible to ignore. He's got tattoos curling up both arms like stories he hasn't finished telling, silver rings glinting in his ears, and a laugh that fills entire rooms without asking permission. He came in from New York to start his college here in South Korea, and when we met during orientation, he decided completely uninvited that I was his person, and somehow impossibly he was right. He talks with his whole body, sketching midair with ink-stained fingers, draws on napkins, his wrist smudged with charcoal, carries 3 different pens but never a notebook. He'll text me memes at 3:04 a.m. and knock on my window at 3:06 with hot wok in one hand and a grin in the other, like he lives on impulse and sugar alone, and Eli kisses people. That's just him. I've seen him kiss the top of our friend Sanwoo's head after a presentation once. Completely unprompted, Sanwoo had flinched like he'd been hit with a love spell. But lately, it hasn't been people. It's been me. And not just the top of my head. It's like I've become his favorite habit, and I don't know how to tell him to quit it. The first time he kissed me, it was after I won a campus debate. He grabbed me by the shoulders, pressed a kiss to my cheek, and shouted, "That's my boy," like we were in some shoujo anime and I was the love interest who just landed a summer job at a bakery. I laughed. Everyone else did too. It didn't mean anything. It was Eli. Except 3 weeks ago it started meaning something. Maybe. I helped organize the campus game championship. It was chaos. The kind that tests your faith in humanity. The projector broke. 2 teams dropped out. Someone spilled iced coffee on the sign-in sheets. But I pulled it off. Somehow. When it ended, I stumbled out into the hall, exhausted and starving, wearing a sweatshirt 2 days past socially acceptable. Eli was waiting. He didn't say anything. Just smiled, walked over and hugged me like I was the only thing holding him up. And then he kissed me. Not on the cheek, not quite on the lips, but close enough, the corner of my mouth. His lips, warm and slow against my skin, lingered just a second too long, like he forgot this wasn't part of the script. Then he stepped back, smiled, said, "You did good, Min," and walked us away. Like he hadn't just short-circuited my entire nervous system. Which brings us to tonight. I'm lying in bed, one arm thrown over my eyes, staring into the glow of my desk lamp like it holds some kind of answer. The room is quiet and the stillness of it all makes my thoughts louder. I can't stop replaying it. The kiss, the way he looked at me after, the way my lips tingled for hours. I slide my hand under the blanket. My skin already warm, my mind already gone. Fingers curl around myself as I exhale, sharp and quiet. He needs to stop. He really, really needs to stop kissing me. Because now every brush of his hand, every laugh against my ear, every graze of his shoulder, it's all different. It's electric. Like there's a current running between us. And every time he touches me, it sparks. I can't stop imagining him closer. The weight of his gaze, the warmth of his breath when he leans in, the way his smile softens when it's only for me. I think about what it would be like if neither of us looked away this time, if we closed that last inch, if his voice dropped low, saying my name like it meant something more. The thought makes my chest tighten, my heartbeat stumble. It's dizzying, the wanting, the almost. And when I close my eyes it feels so real, I swear I could reach out and touch it. Oh God. He needs to stop kissing me. Because I'm losing my mind. If you haven't already figured it out yet, yes, I am crushing hard on Eli. Has been for a while now, and him making it his personal mission to torment me with kisses is not doing justice to my "don't tell your best friend you have a crush on him" agenda. My torment didn't end there. Of course not. The universe has a sick sense of humor, and Eli apparently is its favorite punchline. It was the following night, after our floor's team miraculously won the campus-wide gaming tournament, that he did it again. It started with screaming. The good kind, loud, chaotic cheering as the final victory screen lit up across the monitors at the PC bang. Someone threw their headset. Someone else howled loud enough to scare the guy at the front desk. I just leaned back in my chair, heart thudding, palms sweaty around the mouse. I don't even game that much, but Eli had roped me in, trained me, hyped me up like his life depended on it. I pulled the last round, barely survived, but it was enough. Now we were champions of absolutely nothing important, sipping energy drinks like they were champagne and high-fiving like we'd just saved the world. Eli slid into the seat beside me, his hoodie half-zipped, the tip of his tongue poking out as he grinned. "You were insane back there," he said, slinging an arm around my shoulder like we'd done this 100 times. "That last play, Minjae, I could cry." "You almost did," I muttered, trying to sound unimpressed, but his warmth was too close, too real. His arm stayed there, his fingers tapped lightly against my shoulder, And just as the moment began to blur into something manageable, he turned and kissed me. On the mouth. No warning. Just a slow, warm press of lips against mine. Confident, unhurried, like he had every right in the world to be doing it. He pulled back. His smile curved at the corners, a little smug, a little too bright. "Proud of you, Min," he said, like he hadn't just ignited a small galaxy inside my chest. My brain promptly blue-screened. I blinked at him. My mouth might have moved. No sound came out. Don't do that," I managed. "In public." Eli laughed. Laughed, loud enough that a guy 2 rows down turned to look. "Why?" he said, his eyes still shining. "You blush like a K-drama lead. It's adorable." I stared at my drink, counted to 5, and told myself not to punch my best friend in the face. Because the worst part, he was right, and that only made it worse. That night, after the chaos of the PC bang, after the kiss that still echoed behind my teeth, we all drifted off to our own dorms. Eli's building was only a block from mine, but he always walked me to my door like it was written into some contract only he had signed. He didn't even say goodnight this time. Just bumped my shoulder, called me a nerd, and wandered off under the yellow streetlights with his hoodie pulled low. I went inside, but I didn't sleep. My head was a kaleidoscope of thoughts I didn't want to admit were mine. Thoughts about Eli, about that kiss, about the way the warmth still bloomed across my chest like I'd swallowed a sun, somewhere between 1 a.m. and madness. I remembered something stupid, weeks ago when I'd tried to hug Sanwoo the way Eli hugs me, casual and a little too long. We'd gone out drinking, and I was feeling bold, I guess. But the second I wrapped my arm around him, he pulled away with a startled laugh, grabbed his girlfriend like a life preserver and said, "Ew bro." Personal space. That was Sanwoo, my best friend since kindergarten, the third point of our triangle. So tell me, why does Eli feels different? That's how people are in New York. Casual, touchy, free, or maybe it's just him. And lying there, hot and wired in the dark, it happened again. I closed my eyes and suddenly I was back at the PC bang. Our team screaming, Eli's arms thrown around me in wild celebration. But instead of a peck, he pulled me in fully, kissed me like he meant it, mouth pressed hard to mine, parting my lips, tongue sweeping in like he owned the place, and for a moment he did. The air shifted, the room around us dissolved. We weren't in the PC bang anymore. We were somewhere quieter, closer. The warmth of him pressing into me, his hands finding their way to my waist, the steady rhythm of his breath against my skin. Everything slowed, but the air between us stayed charged, almost unbearable. My pulse roared in my ears as the space between thought and touch blurred, until the wanting felt like something I could actually hold. When I opened my eyes, I was still alone, my breathing uneven, my chest tight, his name lingering in my head like a secret I couldn't shake.
Hey Daydreamers, thanks for tuning in. If you are liking this story so far, tell us where you are listening from in the comment section and hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you don't miss any story uploads. Let's continue. The next morning I woke to the clink of metal, which was weird because I live alone, and ghosts, last I checked, don't typically make breakfast. I sat up, bleary-eyed and regret-heavy, and caught a glimpse of Eli in my kitchen through the half-open door. He was shirtless, wearing gray sweatpants that hung low on his hips, and stirring something in a bowl, with all the intensity of a man about to challenge Gordon Ramsay. God, what have I done wrong to deserve this temptation? He turned when he saw me, grin already in place. Yo, finally awake, sleeping beauty. I blinked, dragged a hand down my face. What are you doing here? Your fridge had yogurt, mine didn't. So I broke in, obviously. I stared, not at the yogurt, at him, because last night I came in my hand to the thought of him pressing me into my mattress and telling me to be good. And now here he was, casual and half naked, like my self-control wasn't already hanging on by dental floss. Cool, totally fine, I muttered. Eli raised a brow. You good? I didn't answer, just hummed and shuffled to the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face, stared into the mirror and gave myself a pep talk that tasted like lies. He's your friend, just a friend. He kisses people. That's his thing. You're imagining things. Or worse, you're catching feelings. When I came back out, he was already by my room, leaning in the doorway like he lived here. Breakfast? He asked, lifting a fork with a piece of egg like it was a peace offering. No thanks, I muttered. Your loss, he said with a mock sigh. I was going to bring it to you in bed. He turned to head back to the kitchen. And that's when it came out. Sudden, raw. Eli, quick question. He paused, looked over his shoulder. Why do you keep kissing me? He stilled. Turned fully this time. I swallowed. Felt my pulse in my throat as I watched him blinked, then smiled slowly. Which time? Dude, I'm serious. He shrugged. The grin still there but softer now. Dunno. You make cute faces. I stared at him. So this is a hobby now? He stepped closer, leaned against the doorframe again, way too close for comfort. Min, he said. Don't take it seriously. It was the heat of the moment. It's what friends do. Silence stretched between us. Right? I didn't respond. Because I didn't know. Because saying yes meant everything I felt was one-sided. And saying no meant admitting I wanted more. I guess my silent meant it's all cool to him. 'cause he returned back to what he was doing. As I watched him polish off my yogurt like it didn't mean anything, and totally ignorant of the fact that I was falling apart inside, my mind was telling me to push, to ask more, pull the truth out of him. But what came of my mouth instead was, "You owe me a new yogurt." He grinned. "I'll bring you a 6-pack. Then he turned, winked again. "Later, pretty boy." And just like that he was gone, leaving me with a half-eaten bowl, a head full of static, and one very dangerous truth blooming in my chest. He really needs to stop kissing me, whether it's what friends does or not. The next day, after class, we followed routine. Wednesdays were always cafe days. A small place 3 blocks off campus, wedged between a stationery store and a bakery that always smelled like fresh melon bread. The kind of cafe with too many plants, lopsided chairs, and a staff that never asked us to leave, even after 3 hours and one shared toast. Eli was already there when I arrived. He'd claimed the booth near the window, sprawled with his iPad, iced Americano sweating beside him. The sunlight was obnoxiously flattering, his hair catching gold at the edges, a soft glow on his cheekbones, eyes squinting a little as he sketched. It should be illegal to look like that before noon. I slid into the seat across from him, my laptop still zipped shut in my bag. I knew I wasn't going to study, not with him looking like a rom-com poster come to life. He didn't look up, just said, "You're late. I brought you a cookie," I lied. He grinned without looking. Forgiven. Seeing as he was absorbed in what he is doing, I brought out my notes and pretended to read. Highlighted a sentence I'd already memorized, but really I watched him. Eli drew like he breathed, fluid, absent-minded, natural. No references, just instinct. Lines looping and shifting across the screen like they belonged there. His tongue peeked out between his lips in concentration. His lashes cast shadows. He brushed his bangs back with one hand, muttering to himself. I was losing my mind. "You should stop looking at me like that," he murmured. I blinked, shocked that he even knew without lifting his head that I was staring at him. So I said, "Like what?" He finally looked up, one brow arched, like I'm doing something illegal by existing. I rolled my eyes. "Oh, shut up." He smirked. "What?" "Can't help being hot. God, he's so annoying. God, he's so right. Are you drawing something for class?" I asked, trying to rescue my dignity. He shrugged. "Sorta." Then he flipped the iPad around. It was me, sitting exactly where I was, chin propped on one hand, lost in thought. He'd drawn the shadows on my face, the way my collar sat crooked, even the little freckle under my left eye. The sketch looked too detailed and rather intimate. "You're stalking me through art now," he grinned. "It's not stalking if we're soulmates." I threw a sugar packet at him. He ducked, laughing. By the time we left the cafe, the sun had dipped below the campus rooftops and the air had cooled into early spring chill. Eli insisted on stopping by the convenience store on the corner for snacks, 2 onigiri and a sleeve of chocolate papero for me, plus a hot can of coffee for himself. We were walking slowly, side by side, as the first droplets of rain began to fall. Not heavy, but steady enough to darken the sidewalk, to mist our hair. Eli tilted his head back, letting it land on his cheeks. Vibe check. Perfect. "You're going to catch a cold," I muttered, tucking my snacks into my jacket and shoving my hands in my pockets. "I'll borrow your hoodie," he said, bumping my shoulder with his. "Besides, you'd nurse me back to health, right?" I snorted. "I'd drop you at the campus clinic in Ghost." He grinned. Cold-hearted. I like it. We paused beneath the golden wash of a street lamp, where the glow made the rain look like static on an old TV. Eli looked over at me, suddenly quiet. "You okay lately?" I didn't answer right away. Just stuff on my mind. He didn't ask what, just peeled off his jacket again and draped it over my shoulders. "I'm fine," I said, but I didn't give the jacket back. He hesitated. Then after a beat. "When I was 10 I made a painting I was really proud of. Like I thought it was genius level. Abstract clouds and storms and crap. I showed it to my dad. You know what he said?" "What?" He said it looked like I spilled juice on paper. I laughed, but it caught in my throat when I saw his face. That's how I knew I had to leave. New York's busy, and it's not always listening. Here, it's quieter. "I guess that's why you crash into people like you're trying to be heard," I said. Eli looked at me. Maybe, or maybe I'm just trying to find the people worth staying loud for. The rain was coming down harder now, but neither of us moved. And for a moment it felt like the world had slowed enough for me to hear my own heartbeat. Somewhere in all that noise I realized I never wanted him to go quiet. Sorting out whatever the hell I'm feeling about Eli isn't the only thing messing with my head these days. There's also Australia, University of Melbourne. I applied months ago. On a whim, maybe. On ambition, definitely. Long nights filling out scholarship forms, editing personal statements no one else ever read, gathering recommendation letters, and pretending it wasn't a big deal. When the acceptance email landed in my inbox, I sat there staring at it like it had teeth. Not just in but on full academic scholarship. My parents cried. I think I did too. It's everything I worked for. So why do I feel like I'm holding a secret I can't bear to say out loud? The academic office smelled like floor polish and cheap printer ink. Too clean, too clinical. I sat stiffly in the chair across from my advisor's desk, holding the pen like it might bite me. "That's the last of it," she said, her tone warm but efficient. Australia will be lucky to have you. I nodded. My fingers closed around the pen too tightly. Thanks. I signed the bottom of the form. Just like that, it was done. Locked in. My semester abroad finalized. The hallway outside was colder than I remembered. Bright with early sunlight but empty. Each step echoed too loud in the quiet. I should have felt proud. I'd worked my ass off for this opportunity. Top of my department. Letters of recommendation. Language prep. An offer most people would kill for. And yet all I could think about was how I hadn't told Eli. Sanwoo knew. He is the only one who guessed something was up. He'd cornered me last week outside the campus print shop, holding a hotjuak in one hand and an accusatory glare in the other. You're leaving? He'd said. Like leaving? Leaving? I nodded. Quiet. His face darkened. When were you going to tell us? I shrugged. I don't know. Soon. He exhaled hard, biting into his hotjuak like it had insulted his mother. And Eli, I haven't told him. Dude, I know. Just gave me a look. The kind only someone who knew every version of me could give, and walked off. Probably told himself he was done caring. That night I found myself at a house party I didn't even want to go to. Remind me why I came again, I muttered, sipping flat cola while bass thumped through the floorboards. Because I threatened to drag your socially awkward ass, Sanwoo answered smoothly, popping a chip into his mouth. His girlfriend Yujin looped her arm through his and nodded like she was used to playing backup in our chaos. Also Eli's here. Duh. My eyes shifted automatically across the room and found him. Eli was in the kitchen, laughing too loud, red solo cup in hand, wearing a paint-splattered button-down like he'd been mid-project before crashing the party. His hair was messy. His smile was weaponized. Dude, ease on the staring. You are going to drill a hole on his face, Sanwoo said casually. I blinked. I am not staring. I'm just making sure he doesn't fall into a beer pong table again. Uh-huh. And I'm here for the ambient lighting, Sanwoo replied sarcastically. I glared. He smirked. Minjae, you look at him like he's your favorite playlist and then talk like he's background noise. Pick a lane. He wasn't wrong. Sanwoo had seen it all. The way Eli clung to me like Velcro, how we moved like magnets half the time. And even if we were always a trio, lately Sanwoo gave us space without needing to be asked. I used to think it was because he was busy with Yuji and his girlfriend. Now, I'm pretty sure he just knew something was changing. Before I could respond, Eli materialized beside me like he'd been summoned. You guys talking about me? He said, ruffling my hair. I swatted him off, trying not to smile. What's there to talk about? I see you every day. Exactly. Lucky you. We settled into a corner as the party raged around us. There was music, laughter, someone trying to beatbox and failing miserably. Eli slid next to me, knees bumping. Then someone shouted, truth or dare, groans, laughter. Of course everyone still played. The bottles started spinning. Truths were awkward, dares more so. Someone had to text their ex. Another got dared to wear a traffic cone like a hat. Then came the kisses. A sophomore dared to kiss her TA, who shockingly kissed her back. Then another guy kissed someone else's boyfriend, and suddenly the room was electric with messy rules and unspoken tensions. Then the bottle landed on Eli. Dare, he said immediately, like he was born for chaos. A voice, maybe someone from his art class, grinned and said, easy. Kiss the hottest person in the room. Everyone howled. A few people started chanting. Some pointed. My chest tightened. Eli looked around. Then his eyes landed on me. I froze. He stared for a beat longer than necessary. Then he turned and kissed the girl beside him. Art major. Galaxy eyeliner. A smile like she knew she'd win. Everyone whooped. She grinned. Eli leaned back. Satisfied. Cute. I laughed. Too loud. Bold of you to assume you're not the hottest. It was a joke. It wasn't. Sanwoo glanced at me. Even Yujin's smile faltered. Eli looked back over. Is that a compliment, Minnie? You think I'm hot? Ew. No, I said, voice neutral. Don't flatter yourself. He smiled, but there was something unreadable behind it. Outside, the party disbanded in slow groups. Sanwoo and Yujin chatted ahead with some mutuals. Eli kept pace beside me. I didn't say much. Couldn't. My mouth had forgotten how words worked. When we neared the main street, Sanwoo nudged me. I'll walk Yujin home. You good? I nodded and they peeled off. Just me and Eli now. 2 blocks to the bus stop. Just us in the soft hum of night. You're quiet, Eli said. I shrugged and responded. Thinking? Always, he replied, and then bumped his shoulder against mine. Did I screw up? No. You sure? Silence. Then, Min, are you jealous? I stopped walking, turned to him. Jealous? That's ridiculous. He looked back at me with a smug. I didn't add another word and just scoffed. He must be delusional. I mean, I was jealous. Disappointed maybe, but there is no way I am going to admit that. He stepped closer. Close enough I could smell the warmth of him. Citrus shampoo and something vaguely like vanilla. The air between us thickened. Okay, he said softly. The next thing I know is I was pulled into him and soft lips landed on mine. Eli kissed me. This time it wasn't for dares, or laughs, or chaos. It was warm, intentional. His lips moved slowly against mine,
like he was asking a question instead of giving an answer. He tilted his head, brought a hand to the back of my neck, deepened it, just slightly, just enough. It tasted like rain and recklessness, like something inevitable. When he pulled back, I couldn't breathe and just looked at it with shock and disbelief. There, he whispered. Now we're even. The bus headlights rounded the corner. Eli grabbed my wrist. Come on, pretty boy. Let's not miss the bus. And just like that, we ran, side by side, hearts hammering. And I didn't know where any of this was going. But I knew this. He kissed me, and I kissed him back, even if it was just a nanosecond. And for now, that was enough. The next morning, I was sitting on a bench outside the lecture hall with San-woo, letting the afternoon sun burn gently into my jacket. Eli wasn't with us. He'd taken off earlier to run errands for his grandfather, leaving a void beside me that felt almost too obvious. That's when my phone buzzed. A single notification lit up the screen. Your flight itinerary is confirmed. Jetstar Airlines, Seoul, Ro, Sydney. The moment I saw it, something inside me lurched. I stared at the message for a long moment. The chill in my spine had nothing to do with the wind. Then, with the numbness of someone defusing a bomb, I deleted the notification, locked my screen, slipped the phone into my jacket pocket like it hadn't just detonated reality. My father had booked the flight. I had just 5 weeks left, just 35 days before I'd board a plane that would put the whole ocean between me and everything I hadn't said. San-woo glanced over, his eyes narrowed. You're spiraling, he said, deadpan. And for once it's not over a grade. I'm fine, he scoffed. Is this about Eli? What? No. What made you think that? I said in a hurried tone. Minjae, you almost vaporized that poor art major with your eyes last night. You are being too obvious. Do you want to talk about that? I let out a breath, my hands folded tightly in my lap. I'm going to Australia. I know, San-woo said, softer now. But have you told him? My silence was louder than any answer. So what's your plan? Leave in the middle of the night like a sad indie movie character. Fade into the mist without saying goodbye? I laughed, weak. That obvious, huh? Painfully, we sat for a beat. The campus lawn stretched out ahead. Students scattered like extras in a coming-of-age film. You should tell him, San-woo said. It's not that easy. Minjae, you two have been circling each other like moons about to crash. It's either say something or watch it implode. I looked down at my hands. What if he doesn't feel the same? San-woo let out a dramatic sigh. Jesus. You're either dumb or blind. Have you seen the way he looks at you? The way he's glued to your side like some clingy golden retriever? He's like that with a lot of people, I muttered. San-woo just blinked at me. Now you're just being plain stupid. Tell him. The sooner the better. It's not like you have all the time in the world anymore. And maybe he was right. But my head refuses to accept that Eli might feel the same, and I have no idea how to start the kind of sentence that could unravel everything between us. He's my best friend. I can't afford to lose him. What if I confess, and he says he's only ever seen me as a friend, and things turn awkward? What if we date and break up? What happens then? Eli has become one of the most important people in my life, and just the thought of it all going wrong is killing me. That afternoon after my conversation with San-woo, I made a resolution. I was going to tell Eli how I feel first, then tell him about Australia. I mean, it all sounds cruel. Confess to a guy you're falling for, then immediately drop the part where you're leaving the country in 4 weeks. A whole new continent, a whole new life. I hadn't even wrapped my head around it yet. I was still going over worst-case scenarios in my head when my phone buzzed again. Eli 6:01 p.m. Library. Don't flake or I'll draw you ugly in all my sketches. I rolled my eyes, heart stuttering in my chest. It was dark by the time I got to the campus library. The sky outside bruised with sunset. Inside, it was warm and too quiet. Eli sat across from me, headphones in, glasses on, scrawling doodles into the margins of his psych notes like the page had done something to insult him. The warm lamplight cast gold across his cheekbones, the kind of glow you can't fake. We were supposed to be studying. We really were, but I'd been staring at the same paragraph in my textbook for 20 minutes. I couldn't even tell you the topic. Probably heartbreak, or slow emotional death. Same thing. I ran through 5 different confession scenarios in my head. All of them ended in disaster. Eli laughing it off. Eli ghosting me. Eli going back to New York without ever looking back. Okay, that last part was a bit extreme. And just when I was cursing myself for not saying something sooner, my eyes caught Eli's movement as he stretched his arms over his head, shirt lifting just enough to flash a sliver of his waist. I looked away so fast I nearly gave myself whiplash. But he noticed. Of course he did. He tugged his earbuds out, smirking. You all right? No, I said automatically, then cursed myself. Eli laughed, soft, got up and slid into the seat beside me. Too close. Okay, talk to me. There's nothing to. His hand brushed mine. I flinched. Minjae, he said, voice low and serious now. You've been different lately, not just awkward. Like, scared. I swallowed. Maybe I am. His eyes searched mine. I wanted to spill everything. I think I like you, and I'm scared you won't feel the same, and I'm leaving, Eli. I'm leaving. But Eli's gaze dipped lower, to my lips, and it hit me. He wasn't even listening. He was looking, watching, like he was weighing a decision. There was a long pause. Then he leaned in, voice barely a whisper. If I kissed you right now, would you stop me? I froze. My breath caught. Every rational part of me screamed yes, but my heart said no. No, I whispered. He inched closer, the air thick between us. Our noses were nearly touching. My pulse was thunder in my ears. And then, someone at the next table coughed. Loudly. On purpose. The moment shattered like glass. Eli blinked. Pulled back with a tiny sigh, like it hurt. Next time, he said soft. Yeah, I murmured, throat dry. We went back to studying, or pretending to, and I missed another chance. Sometimes I wonder if the coward in me will ever grow up, if I'll ever just say the damn thing out loud. I even considered texting it. Hey Eli, I think I'm falling for you. Also surprise, I'm off to Australia in 4 weeks. Yeah, that would go well. I could practically hear Sanwoo's voice in my head. You idiot. You absolute wuss. And he wouldn't be wrong.
I guess the universe got tired of waiting for me to grow a spine, because just as I was spiraling over my inability to confess to Eli in the library, my phone buzzed again. Eli, 7:34 p.m. Got something to show you. Come to the studio. Eli had mentioned the place before. A small one-story building he rented with a few other art majors. 6 huge rooms split into shared workspaces and glorified storage units for paint-splattered canvases, wire sculptures, and the occasional abandoned ramen cup. I'd never been there before. Not until now. I found his section upstairs. Room 4. Door half cracked, warm yellow light spilling out into the stairwell. I knocked once before pushing it open. Eli was crouched near a canvas, sleeves rolled up, paint smudged on his wrist. He looked up when I entered, eyes bright beneath messy hair. Hey, he said, standing. Took you long enough. Traffic, I lied, an existential dread. He chuckled under his breath. Fair. Come here a sec. I want to show you something. I followed him to the far side of the room, where a huge canvas leaned against the wall. 6 feet tall, maybe more. It wasn't finished. Patches of raw canvas still showed through, but it pulled at me. Bold colors bleeding into one another. Charcoal marks that looked like they'd been dragged on in frustration, then softened by careful brushstrokes. It was messy and deliberate all at once, like every movement had meant something. And right in the center, me, the portrait that looked like a perfect balance of mess and imperfection has me centered in it. The way my shoulders slope when I'm tired. The eyes that look like they're watching the world but not quite part of it. Even the way my stance felt both still and tense, like I'm bracing for something I can't name. The whole thing looked alive, like the air itself moved around the figure while he stayed rooted. I didn't notice I'd gone silent until Eli's voice came from behind me, quiet, almost careful. It's not done yet, he said, but I wanted you to see it. My throat tightened. Why me? He shrugged, shoving his hands in his pockets. You're the only thing that's been stuck in my head all semester. I turned slowly. He wasn't smiling, not like usual. He looked scared. I didn't know you saw me like that. You're my muse. My heart stuttered in my chest. He stepped closer. Do you like it? I nodded, barely able to speak. Yeah, I do. His eyes warmed. And then he leaned in, pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. I'm glad you do, he whispered. I closed my eyes for half a second, just long enough to memorize the warmth. He really needs to stop kissing me, because every time he does, I forget I'm supposed to be the one walking away. He smiled again, oblivious to the storm in my chest. Come on, let's head to yours. I'm starving. Later that night, after we microwaved leftovers and argued about which brand of kimchi stew was superior, Eli crashed. On my floor, like always. He claimed the walk to his dorm was spiritually exhausting. I didn't argue, just tossed him a blanket and a mat. He curled up like a cat, one foot hanging off, breathing deep, and I couldn't sleep. Again. So I started cleaning, reorganizing the desk, picking up his hoodie. That's when I noticed his sketchbook shoved partway under my chair. I hesitated, then opened it. It was me. Every page. Me laughing. Me scowling. Me half asleep on the couch during movie night. Me in the campus arcade, back turned, hood up. One sketch of me shirtless from last summer's trip to Busan, and I actually stopped breathing. Then I turned one more page. Tiny writing, in English, barely legible. You don't know what you do to me, and I'm scared you'll never feel the same. I slammed the sketchbook shut. My hands were shaking. Suddenly I'm not so sure I'm the only one losing it. Sanwoo might be right after all. Now I just have to figure out how to tell him. The next day the universe really said, move, bitch. Eli had roped the group, me, Sanwoo, Yujin, and a couple of others, into an afternoon hangout. Late lunch, arcade, wandering downtown streets with plastic bags full of snacks and impulsive claw machine prizes. He was in a good mood. Touchy, teasing, sunlit. Every time he brushed against me, I felt it like a spark. We piled into Eli's car after, still laughing. Sanwoo sat up front with Yujin while I claimed the back with an open window and the ache of unresolved feelings curling in my ribs. One by one, Eli dropped them off. Last stop, my dorm. It was quiet now. The car idling outside the gates, low music humming beneath the silence. I didn't get out. Neither did he. He turned to me.
"You good?" I nodded, barely. "Yeah." His eyes lingered on mine, longer than they should have. Then he reached across, slowly, and clicked my seatbelt open. Leaned in to unbuckle it. An excuse, probably. But his face came close, too close. His lips brushed my cheek. A feather-light kiss. Tender, gentle, safe. He started to pull away, but I wasn't going to let this chance slip away. I just have to take the leap, since we both have been dancing around the edge for too long. So I grabbed his jacket, fisted it in my hand, pulled him back towards me, and kissed him. My mouth crashed into his, like I'd been waiting years, like I couldn't hold it back anymore. Because I couldn't. His hands hesitated, but only for some seconds before they slid into my hair, tangled, held, and he kissed me back. Desperate, starved, like he needed it more than air. The windows fogged, my chest burned. My thoughts scattered as I surrendered to the sensation and feelings of his mouth on mine. I pulled back first, breathless, stunned at my audacity. Eyes wide, heart sprinting and beating hard against my ribs. Finally, I thought, and just waited for his reaction to that. But Eli didn't flinch, didn't run, didn't joke. He leaned in again, pressed his forehead to mine. "Damn," he whispered, voice shaking. "You have no idea how long I've wanted to do that." And then he kissed me again. Slower, like this was something we could keep. We kissed until the engine light blinked at us and someone walked by with their dog, and then he groaned against my mouth. "I should go," he muttered, "before I do something stupid, like kidnap you." I laughed, breathless, still shaking. "Later?" he asked. I nodded as I got off his car. Then he drove off. I stood outside my dorm, fingers pressed to my lips like they could still feel him, and all I could think was, this changes everything. From that night on, Eli didn't hold back. Not with his smiles, not with his hands, and definitely not with the kissing. Not that I was complaining. Every time he touched me, it felt like the world paused, like I was finally inside the moment, not outside it, watching. Like the second his skin brushed mine, gravity changed its mind and started pulling me toward him instead. He dropped me off after class the next day and kissed me right there, in broad daylight, full on. No warning, no nerves, just the sun on his face, a breeze that barely cooled my burning cheeks, and his mouth on mine. It wasn't one of those shy hidden moments. It was bold, like a statement. His hand slid up my neck, thumb brushing just under my ear, and then boom, our lips met. I froze, right there on the sidewalk, caught between the rush of students and the warmth of his mouth. I pushed him off with both palms to his chest, more from shock than anything else, sputtering something about public decency. He just laughed and jogged back to the driver's side like nothing happened. But I stood there for a full minute, dazed, smiling like someone had flipped a light on inside me. My friends noticed. My professors probably noticed. Hell, the old campus cat probably noticed. But I could care less. I walked through the rest of my day like I had a secret stashed behind my ribs. Another night, we snuck out of a party, too many people, too many drinks, too much heat. He grabbed my hand, pulled me around the back where the alley was lit only by flickering neon. "People are gonna notice." I laughed, breathless. "Let them," he said, and kissed me hard, back against the wall like he meant to leave his name in my mouth. Study session at our usual cafe. I was focused on my screen, trying to draft a paper. He leaned over, whispered something stupid. "You're the prettiest distraction here," then kissed the corner of my mouth and returned to his laptop like it was nothing. I stared at him for a full minute, forgotten paragraph blinking, brain gone. In the library stairwell, he caught me between floors. Empty, quiet, cold concrete behind my back as he kissed me breathless, one hand cupping my jaw, the other already fixing my collar before the next student walked through. Even the elevator wasn't safe. A short ride between floors, he turned me around, tugged my wrist, kissed me once, slowly, like a question and an answer all at once. "I can't stop," he whispered. I just breathed, "Don't." But every kiss made the clock louder. That night, back at my desk, my phone buzzed again. "Your Jetstar itinerary. Confirmed. 3 weeks remaining." The anxiety that had been living inside my chest for a while gnawed at my ribs, clawing up my throat, made my stomach turned. My vision blurred. I stumbled toward the bathroom, barely making it before I doubled over and threw up. The thought of leaving him, the thought of telling him, the weight of all the words I hadn't said pressed down on me like gravity had lost its mind. He really needs to stop kissing me, so I can breathe, so I can tell him I'm leaving. I've been so caught up, so overwhelmed by him, by us, that I forgot we're on borrowed time. And the person who never lets me forget? Of course, San-woo. We were sitting in the campus cafe. He stirred his iced coffee like it personally wronged him, eyes trained on me like he was about to launch a full intervention. "So," he said, so casually it had to be a trap. "You two are a thing now." I choked on my drink. "We haven't put a label on it." San-woo gave me a knowing look. "That's cute, but you've been smiling at your phone like a middle schooler with his first crush, and you have a literal hickey under your jaw, so yeah, you're a thing." I ducked behind my cup. "But," he said, and suddenly the air shifted, softened. "You're leaving in 3 weeks." The smile I had slipped. Just like that. "I know," I said. "When are you going to tell him?" Before I could even blink, a familiar voice cut through the air. "Tell me what?" Eli, standing behind me with a tray of drinks, head tilted, curious, bright-eyed.
Oblivious. Sanwoo froze. I flatlined. I started. Nothing serious. Sanwoo jumped in. Too fast. Just talking about this professor who, failed someone for using the wrong font. Eli squinted. Weird. Sanwoo stood. Lightning quick. I'll be back. Gonna get more sugar. For my drink. That already has sugar. And off he went. Leaving me alone with Eli. The silence sat between us. Not awkward. Just tight. You okay? He asked, nudging my foot under the table. I smiled. Lied. Yeah, it's good. Things are good. But inside? Inside. The countdown kept ticking. Eli didn't bring it up again. Neither did I. Whatever suspicion might have flickered in his mind that day at the cafe, it passed. Or maybe he was pretending to. That was the thing with Eli. He could be all sunshine and chaos, and still know exactly when not to push. But he didn't stop kissing me, and he didn't stop making plans either.
Like today. Saturday. Clear skies, slight breeze, one of those rare soft Korean afternoons where the city hums instead of roars. Eli had written out an itinerary on the back of a napkin complete with doodles and aggressive arrows. Museum, lunch, bookstore. My name written in sparkly gel pen at the top like I was the damn field trip. You're ridiculous, I'd told him that morning when he showed up at my door with a bag of snacks and 2 bottles of vitamin water. And yet, he'd said, throwing an arm around me, you still haven't run. Now we're at the museum, standing side by side in a cool, echoing room, staring at a 6-foot abstract canvas. Nothing but paint and emotion. You like it? He asks, eyes still fixed on the chaos of it. I shrug. Not really my style. He hums. Not disappointed. Just thinking, yeah, but it's messy, raw, honest. I glance sideways. He's not talking about the painting anymore. He doesn't have to. At lunch, he finds a quiet table near the window of a tiny sandwich shop. Holds my hand under the table like it's the most natural thing in the world. Steals half my pickle just to make a face. Teases me for being a texture snob. Then kisses my temple when no one's looking. I feel like a glass of soda someone shook too hard. Bubbling, trembling, on the verge of cracking open. He doesn't know I'm leaving. He doesn't know he's building dreams while I'm hiding an exit. I don't know how to tell him. Not after this. Not when he's looking at me like I'm the only quiet in his storm. We sit on the stone steps outside a second-hand bookstore after browsing for an hour. He found an old manga volume I used to love in high school, bought it and slipped it in his bag without a word. Now he's leaning against my shoulder, humming a tune that doesn't belong to any song I know. I don't say anything. I don't trust my voice not to crack. My heart's already halfway down the block, dragging the rest of me behind it. He doesn't move. Doesn't even open his eyes. Just rests there like he belongs. Like I belong. But all I can think is, you don't know I'm leaving. And when he walks me home, it's slow. Not because we're tired, but because neither of us wants the day to end. Outside my dorm, he stops. Looks at me like he always does these days, like I'm the only thing he sees. He leans in, kisses me once, then again. Soft, gentle, unhurried, like each kiss is a promise he hasn't said out loud yet. I melt into it, let myself have it, just for a little longer. He grins against my mouth, bumping his nose against mine. You're mine for the next weekend too, he murmurs. I already picked out where we're going. I try to smile, I do. Yeah? He nods. You'll love it. I have a plan. He kisses me one last time, then jogs backward a few steps before turning and heading down the street, whistling some dumb tune. He's weightless, and I'm sinking, because Eli Monroe is making room for me in his life, and he has no idea I've already booked my seat out of it. The next day, it was one of the days where we observe a weird tradition. Late-night ramyeon at the tiny cart near the dorms. It started as a post-exam thing last semester and somehow became our thing. No matter how busy we got, we made time for it. Tonight, I show up first. Eli's late. That's never happened before. The steam from the broth curls upward into the night air. I press my hands around the warm bowl and wait. 5 minutes. 10. I text him once. No reply. I'm halfway through the eggs when he shows up. Hoodie pulled low, hands in his pockets. Hey, he says. But it's not the usual hey. No brightness. Just a word. I force a smile. You okay? He shrugs, sliding onto the bench beside me like gravity forced him there. Long day. We eat in silence. Not the comfortable kind we've grown into. The kind where I can read and he can draw, and we're still together in the quiet. No shoulder bump. No thigh pressed against mine. No casual lean in. No kisses. Just space. Too much of it. The noodles go cold in my mouth. I reach under the table, brush his hand with mine. He shifts slightly. Just enough to not meet me there. Eli. I start, voice too soft. But he's already standing. Sorry, I gotta go. I blink up at him. You just got here. He avoids my eyes. Yeah, I forgot I have something. A lie. A dumb one. Then he's gone. No backward glance. No wave. No see you tomorrow. Just gone. Later that night I just couldn't let the feelings of dread that washed over me go, so I started pacing my room the way I always do when I'm spiraling while calling the only person who can put my fears into words. Sanwoo picks up on the second ring, his background the usual chaotic dorm mess. His girlfriend's laughter echoes faintly behind him before she closes the door to give us space. Hey, he says. What's wrong? I don't even pretend. He was weird tonight. Define weird. Quiet. Off. Didn't touch me. Left before we finished. Sanwoo's face hardens slightly. He leans forward, like he's bracing himself. Shit, he mutters. What? I didn't want to say anything unless I was sure, but he rubs a hand through his hair. This afternoon. I was with Yerim. You know Yerim, right? Yeah, I answered. She asked about your trip. I said you were leaving in a couple weeks. My stomach drops. And? I think Eli was there. Or I think he overheard. I stopped pacing and exclaimed sharply. What? I didn't see his face. Just I turned and saw a shadow. Hoodie. Coffee cup left on the table. It looked like him, but when I stepped out to check, he was gone. Like really gone. Silence swallows the call. You told someone? I ask, voice low and seriously pissed off. Sanwoo flinched and exclaimed. I didn't know Eli was behind me. You said I hadn't told him. Now he knows. Like this. Yeah? And you were gonna tell him when? Sanwoo shoots back. On the flight? Through a postcard? During your layover? I wince. I was going to. I am going to. I just, what? Wanted to squeeze out a few more perfect kisses before you dropped the nuke? Grow freaking a spine, dude. I couldn't speak. My throat closes up. Sanwoo sighs, rubbing his face, and said again calmly. He must be hurt, Minjae. He thought he mattered enough to be told. He does. I answered, voice a little bit higher than I intended. Then act like it. You have to spill now. The line crackles slightly as we both fall quiet. Finally I whisper, I'm scared. His voice softens. So is he. You need to have that conversation, man. Whether what we suspected is true or not. For the next 2 days, I didn't hear from Eli. No replies to my texts. No late-night memes at 2 in the morning. Not even a missed call. And for someone like Eli, someone whose presence is usually loud and constant, that kind of quiet feels louder than a scream. I keep telling myself it's fine. He's probably busy, tired, wrapped up in his own world. But the silence has teeth, sharp and insistent, and it bites deeper the longer it stretches. I think about heading down to his dorm, about standing outside his door until he has no choice but to talk to me. But the thought stalls somewhere between my chest and my feet. If he's not talking to me, maybe I should give him space. Maybe space is safer. Except space doesn't feel safe. It feels suffocating. I can't sleep, can't focus. My assignments blur into nonsense, and I manage to burn rice while trying to boil water. I pick up my phone to call him more times than I can count, thumb hovering over the call button until my heart trips over itself. Each time I stop, afraid of what I might hear, or worse, afraid of the nothing I might get in return. And through it all the guilt swells until it's not just sitting in my chest but settling in, building a home there, inviting every insecurity I've ever had to move in. My sister was right. I'm a coward. I hide when things get too uncomfortable. Now I know my sister was right when she told me I was nothing short of a coward who hides when things gets too uncomfortable. By the third night I'm lying on my bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if I ruined everything without even meaning to. I replayed his face in my head, the tight smile, the way he pulled his hand away like it didn't mean anything. The moment he stood up and walked away. You should have told him sooner. Then, at 12:47 a.m., my phone lights up. Eli, come over. Just 2 words. No emojis, no extra punctuation. But I don't even hesitate. I grab my hoodie, keys, and run. The walk is cold, wind slicing through my sleeves, but I barely feel it. His studio lights are on when I get there. I knock once, then open the door. He's sitting on the floor, back against the wall. Hoodie on, hair damp like he just showered. There's a mug of tea beside him, untouched. He doesn't look up right away. Just gestures for me to sit beside him. So I did. The silence stretches. I wait for him to speak first, but he doesn't. Eventually, I whisper, you okay? Eli shrugs, I don't know. I nod, fair. Another beat of silence. Then he turns his head, looks at me fully. Were you ever gonna tell me? I close my eyes, suspicion confirmed. Yes. When? He asked, still not looking at me. I don't know. Soon. I was working up to it. Eli laughs once tiredly. You are so freaking selfish, Minjae, he said. I know he was right, but the word hurts as if I haven't been punishing myself enough cause of this. I really was going to tell you, I said instead. When exactly? While you were at the airport. Until it was too late for me to do anything about it? And the fact that it seems everyone knows by me. God, I feel so stupid. Shit, Eli, you are not stupid. This is my fault. I am so sorry. I said immediately as I went closer to him and reached for his hands. He looked so devastated and it just broke my heart even more. Gods, I messed up so bad. Yay, right. You don't get it, he says, voice shaking now. I let myself fall for you, hard, and you let me, while planning to disappear. I blink. I wasn't trying to, but you did. He cuts in. You knew how I felt. You knew where this was going, and you still let it happen. You kissed me like I meant something and kept this secret like I didn't. That's not true, I breathe, heart cracking open. tears stinging the corner of my eyes as anxiety pooled and gnawed sharply in my stomach. Then why didn't you tell me? His voice rises. Why let me dream up a future you never planned to stay for? My throat closes up. Because I was scared. Of what? That I'd be mad? Hurt? That I'd leave? I was scared that saying it would make it real. That I'd lose you the moment I admitted I had to go. He stares at me, jaw clenched. You already lost me. For 2 days, Minjae. I didn't even know what to do with myself. Silence. Raw, sharp silence. I'm really like you, Eli, I said. The words tremble. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know which to say first. That I'm leaving, or that I've never felt like this before in my life. He exhales, long and slow. Eli sinks to the floor again, head in his hands. He stays like that for a long time before speaking. This just changes everything, he says. Then paused for a minute before continuing. But it doesn't ruin it. He finally looks up at me, eyes tired, voice soft. We'll figure it out. Long distance, time zones, whatever. I'm freaking pissed at you, but I'm not giving up. I nod, letting a sigh of relief wash through me as tears burn behind my eyes. I'm sorry. So sorry. I know. And when he reaches for me, I let myself sink into his embrace, hands clutching his shoulders tightly like a vice. We settled like that for a minute or two before he pulled away, hands on my face, wiping off the tears, and then he leaned back to kiss me hard, like he was grounding us back in place. And when we finally break apart, breathless and messy, he says, let's not write the ending before we've even started. And I believe him as I sink into his warm embrace and locked my arms around him tighter. The days after we made up weren't perfect, but they were ours. We didn't label it right away. There wasn't some grand declaration with violins and sunset lighting. It just happened somewhere between our 3rd consecutive date and Eli casually saying, so I'm your boyfriend now, right? I blinked at him, dumb. He grinned. Too late. You hesitated. Boyfriend status confirmed. We were happy, stupidly terrifyingly happy. Eli planned out every minute of the time we had left together, like he could trick the clock into pausing. Saturdays were for museums and greasy food. Sunday mornings were quiet coffees in bed. Tuesdays we took evening walks around the lake behind campus, fingers laced, hearts full. He kissed me like he was memorizing me, and for once I let him. And when we slept together for the first time as boyfriends after one of those late nights, tangled in sheets and laughter, when everything felt a little too fragile to name, I was perfect. It started slow, shy, like neither of us could believe it was real, like we were scared touching would wake us from some elaborate dream. He kissed my chest like it held secrets, like he could draw them out with his mouth. His hands were reverent, warm, painting paths on my skin like I was a canvas he'd studied for years but was only now allowed to touch. I watched him through half-lidded eyes, stunned at how beautiful he looked above me, lit only by the soft glow of my desk lamp. I remember gasping his name and the way he smiled, crooked and full of wonder, like he'd waited forever to hear it like that. We moved slowly, learned each other's bodies like a language we'd always known in theory, but finally spoke aloud. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. It was everything. After, he pulled me close, still breathless, whispered, "You okay?" And all I could say was, "Yeah, I think I've been waiting for this since the first time you kissed me." We talked about the distance. He FaceTimed me from his bed, walked me through his training regime for surviving long distance like it was a sport. Apps, call calendars, mood check-ins. "It's prep," he said, mouthful of ramen, training for the real thing. I laughed, but inside, I ached. We didn't talk about the countdown much, but we felt it. In the silence between words, in the way he clung a little tighter every night, in the way I didn't let myself cry when I saw my packed suitcase by the door. He met my parents. My mom adored him within seconds. My dad raised an eyebrow at his hair and tattoos, but Eli won him over by helping fix the TV's HDMI input and complimenting his barbecue technique. Sanwoo came by the night before I left. We didn't say much, just sat on the steps outside my dorm, passing a canned beer back and forth. "Gonna miss you, idiot," he said, bumping his shoulder against mine. "Same." He gave me a sideways glance. "You finally told him?" I nodded. "Good. Because if you left with that still bottled up, I was gonna knock you out and stuff you in a suitcase until you manned up." I laughed. He wasn't joking. "I'm proud of you, Min." That almost made me cry more than the goodbye. Incheon Airport buzzed with the dull hum of lives in transition. Suitcases rolled. Boarding calls echoed. My heart beat somewhere behind my ribs like it didn't want to leave either. Eli walked beside me, one hand curled around my suitcase handle, the other never leaving mine. We said nothing. We'd already said everything. He helped check in my bags, held my coat when I was overheating from nerves, teased me once about my tragically uncool passport photo. But even his jokes were soft now. Like every word was breakable. When my boarding group was called, he stopped walking. I turned to him. His eyes shimmered. "We'll make it work, right?" I nodded. "Of course we will." He reached up, brushed my hair back, kissed me soft, deep, lingering. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a promise. "I'll see you soon, pretty boy." I hugged him like I was afraid my arms would forget the shape of him. Then I turned and walked toward my gate. He stayed there, watching, and I didn't look back.
because if I did, I might not go. Epilogue, 3 months later. Long distance is brutal. It's been 3 months I left Korea for Australia, and we tried. Every day. Video calls, voice notes, meme wars at midnight, but it was hard. The time difference shredded us. He'd be falling asleep when I was walking into class. I'd be wide awake and aching when he was buried in assignments. Still, he never let go. Neither did I. But some nights felt like static in my chest. Loneliness heavy enough to press down on my lungs. So when I came home one Wednesday evening, bag heavy, brain fried, I didn't expect anything but leftovers and darkness. What I got was Eli, sitting on the stairs of my flat, black hoodie, sketchpad on his lap, 2 iced coffees beside him. I froze in shock. "You didn't think I'd let you get rid of me that easy, right?" he said. My voice cracked. "You, what?" "Transferred," he said, standing. "University of Sydney. Art program's decent. You are welcome." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. All I could scream internally was, "He is here. Eli is here with me in Australia." My heart nearly burst out of excitement as I dropped everything and ran into his arms, crashed into me and kissed him with every fiber of my being. And he kissed me back like he finally believed we could be infinite. Being with Eli is chaos, and warmth, and breathlessness, and now it's mine to keep. And all I could think was, he better not stop kissing me. Thanks for listening to the story He Needs to Stop Kissing Me. If you enjoy this story, share your enthusiasm in the comments section, and don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you don't miss any story uploads. See you in the next one.